Number one, not treating your LinkedIn profile like a marketing or sales page. If I see no about section, you have 2,600 characters in your about section. When I don't see that utilized, it kills me.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Recruitment Podcast by Recruit CRM. And it's me again, the host, Kate O'Neill. I'm back as well to bring you more conversations with some of the best minds in the recruitment world at the moment. So get ready, because yet again, I'm going to deep dive into a really exciting subject, one that's going to benefit you at all levels of a recruitment business, internal talent, working in an agency. It doesn't matter. This is going to be a super useful conversation that I'm having today. Okay, so let's come to today's episode and what we're talking about. The power of LinkedIn and content marketing is so important when it comes to driving in high value clients and inbound leads. And the guest I have on with me today is somebody that truly understands how to leverage digital platforms to grow a recruitment business. So I've got Clark Wilcox on with me today.
Kind of everyone else, I fell into recruiting. I was doing door-to-door sales and in telecom in LA, and just learning the hard way. I put my resume up because the thing I learned about telecom sales is that if Verizon or the providers don't get the install right, you can lose your commission. And I had no control over that process, and I really didn't like that piece of it. So I put my resume up, and Aerotech called me. I had no idea what agency recruiting was. But, they paid better, so I took the job and I got right into it. So I fell into recruiting, I think, like a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of your listeners have as well. It completely changed my life. So to the point now, the podcast, the coaching, the recruiting, yes, it was great to help people. But honestly, personally, it was just nice to be able to control my income too in the beginning. And I think that's just the opportunity it can actually give people in recruiting. That's what I love. And if you do it the right way, it can really impact, have a much greater impact than I ever imagined. And to get paid for talking with people, I couldn't believe that that's happened. So I consider myself really lucky to be here, to be able to do what I do. And yeah, I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, I can relate to you sort of how you started, because I did call center sales.
Yeah.
And it's like similar to you, I fell into recruitment because I got made redundant. But once I got into it, I was like, oh my God, like this is like my calling. I can speak to people all day. I'm much more in control of sort of these processes. And yeah, never looked back like you and loved it. So yeah, I can totally relate to that. And I'm sure a lot of the listeners can as well. So I've got some really juicy questions to be asking you. So I'm going to get started because we could easily run over time with what we've got to talk about today, right? So, Clark, you've got quite a story, and overcoming challenges from a young age, and getting to where you are now, building the digital recruiter, your other businesses. How do you think your personal journey shaped your approach to recruitment and also the marketing that you do as well?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, and just to give context to the listeners, I mean, part of the personal journey is I lost my parents at a young age when I was 5. They died within 2 weeks of each other. And so there's a pretty big shift in my life. And I think growing up, I was very fortunate. I got taken in by my aunt and uncle. That was actually happened in France. And I moved to Boston when I was 5, actually the day before I turned 6. And so I kind of had to learn. I went from being fluent in French to having to learn English and all that. And it was just like a sudden shift and a very quick shift in my environment, as you can imagine. And I'm not one of these people that try to kind of dwell on all that stuff. I've processed it. I've moved forward with it. But I think it gave me an interesting. I had to grow up very quickly, and I had a unique view in the world. And so for me, it was about connecting with people, and I had people that really stepped in and stepped up in my life, and I developed these like really strong bond. My grandmother, my adopted father, who's my uncle, and just some close friends around me. And it just gave me an interesting perspective. What I was going through a lot of times kind of felt like on an island, but I felt like just connecting with people and building those bonds. Again, not knowing what recruiting was, that was just very healing for me growing up, and it allowed me, and I still had to go through the typical pain that you could imagine, and everyone has personal adversity, right? There's stories that are way worse than mine. I've looked at people and I'm so glad I didn't go through that. I think one of the things was just owning my story and embracing and being comfortable, and to me, faith is a big part of for me the last few years, and just realizing like there was a plan all along for me, and I think just embracing that piece of it and being okay with the unknown and being okay with bad things happen, but how do you respond is a big one, and that's every single day in recruiting. And I think that's what resonated with me early on in recruiting. It's just like, all right, like candidate screws up and all that. It's like that balance of having empathy for candidates and clients, but also kind of still getting the job done and doing what you need to do and having those boundaries. And I think that's where recruiting really accelerated my journey, is like, I can't wallow in this anymore. I have to decide, okay, this has happened. I have to figure out how to work through it. And I can either make it an excuse for why I don't do anything in life, or I can make it what accelerates something, building a meaningful and fulfilling life. And I think you really have that choice when you get into recruiting, and you really have that choice when you get into marketing, of just like, who do you want to be? And I think it empowered me to realize like I have control over my sales process, my marketing. I always tell clients, like, tell your market the business you want more of. So many people are afraid to sell and market, and this would be an amazing client to have, but can I say that? I'm like, well, first of all, you got one life to live. Just put it out there. Like, if you want to place PMs in construction, tell all those stories. Tell people why. If you have a competitive advantage around that niche, go do it. Right? It's just LinkedIn. It's just marketing. Don't be afraid to go after what you want. And I think that's what I've learned, right? Embrace the present. Don't get too caught up in what could be or what can be. Like, focus on what you can control. These are all things I took the windy road to learn. I don't think I really clicked a lot of these until I'm in my mid-30s, so it did not happen right away. But I think if I look at the culmination of my life experience, like, that's the journey it led me on, and definitely a little bit of a late bloomer. But I think once it all clicked, it was almost like simple. In terms of everything's kind of in between the ears that's holding us back.
100%.
And like, once you have the systems and the process, it's just about staying consistent and still doing everything, kind of just connect with people, connect with yourself. Like, don't get too caught up. I would say take your work seriously, but don't take yourself seriously. And that's kind of helped me along. It's just kind of keep going, and there's going to be rejection. There's going to be people that don't vibe with what you say or don't like you, but you know what, if you put yourself out there, there's also people that really are going to connect with you and really be inspired by you, and that's kind of what I found to be true. And I guess that's kind of how it ties together. So I hope that was a good explanation.
No, definitely. And it sounds like, and this is one of I think the most important qualities that you need as a recruiter. It sounds like you built up such a strong level of resilience from a young age. So to come into a job like recruitment, where, as you said, you get rejection probably every day, in some shape or form, that ability to process it, deal with it for how it is, stay present, control the controllables and move on from it. I think, that is a massive skill to have, and ultimately, like, from what I'm hearing, has led to so much of your success. So I think having that resilience, it's something that some people don't have initially, is it, when they come into this job? But you came in with it by the sounds of it.
Well, I think you summed it up perfectly. I think resilience, and I don't look at myself as like, oh, that's the trait. That's probably why I didn't say the word, but I think you summed it up perfectly. It is really that resilience and bouncing back. And, I know you're on the other side of the pond over here, but, in American football, it's like when a quarterback throws an interception, they got to be able to forget it and move on, right? And still execute the game plan. Like, they can't let a mistake ruin the whole game for them. And I look at recruiting the same way. And I think that was ingrained in me. It's just that resilience. It's like, all right, I got to pick up and move on. It doesn't mean, I tell people, like, you just can't care. It doesn't mean you don't care at all. You don't want to be a robot, but you can't let it you can't hold on. You can't have resentment. You got to be able to let it go and just move forward, and just keep moving this thing and keep getting this thing going. Because if you keep going, that's where the good stuff is. And you talk to anyone that's, there's you see all these success stories, but a lot of it is the survivorship bias. But I've always looked at it, well, like, how can I be the survivor, right? How do I get that? I know there's people that don't make it, but what are the people that are making it? If you look at it, it's never an overnight success. It's just chipping away when no one's paying attention, when no one really cares, when people are doubting you, especially family and friends, right? And stuff like that. So it's just like, you just keep going, and it's those random, Wednesdays in January or whatever that, like, when you still do just what needs to be done when no one's looking, like, there's so much truth to that in terms of making it happen. It took me a long time to realize that and to have that click, but once it did, it was very freeing, because I just felt more in control of what I can control, and I just let go of the things that I couldn't.
One thing I wanted to ask you was, so content marketing,
Yeah.
And I know this myself, is a key part of building credibility, right? But I see, and you probably see this as well, a lot of recruiters struggle with it. So how can recruiters craft really compelling content that is going to resonate with both their clients and their potential clients and potential candidates?
Yeah. Oh, I think number one, you have to plan for it. You have to plan. You have to be intentional. You have to know what you're doing. I mean, I think just asking ChatGPT to create a post and post it out there, I mean, it's just a recipe to ruin your brand, your personal brand. You're gonna get a block of text, and
people can tell, I think, now as well.
Bad graphics. So you can totally tell now. Now there is AI could definitely assist you in certain ways, but it can be part of the whole process, and you really have to understand copywriting and the fundamentals of content first, and that's what I studied. I mean, I've been studying that for almost 7 years now, and been in different masterminds, well before I even started as digital recruiter. So I really came into posting on LinkedIn with a plan, and part of that was I knew exactly the market I wanted to talk to was. I wanted to talk to agency recruiters. I had that background, and my belief was that every single one of them need to know how LinkedIn automation exists, number one, and number two, the right and the wrong way to use it, right? Some people are scared because they don't want to be spammy, they don't want to be seeing what's in their inbox, and then some people we're going way too crazy and way too gung-ho and getting them banned and annoying all their leads. So it's like, how do you kind of rein those people in? So that's what I wanted to do. And then I think knowing how to write headlines and call to actions, and I just kept posting. I don't care about likes. Like, I care about leads, not likes. And I don't think I've gone viral once on LinkedIn. Like, I don't think I've ever gotten more than 400 likes on a post. And I started out with 150 connections. Even by the time I had 4,000 followers, I was getting constant inbound leads, just because I was talking directly to the pain points and the experiences that agency recruiters were having. And that is so key, is to do that in a relevant, entertaining, and relatable way is the key to LinkedIn content. And if you're talking about yourself all the time, and we've mentioned my personal story, I rarely talk about my personal story. One of the rules I have in our program is do not treat LinkedIn like your therapist. Right.
Yeah.
And some things are meant to be private. Not everything has to be out there. And for people that get worried about, I don't want to post personal stuff on LinkedIn, you really don't have to. I have people that just post stuff about business, how they're solving business problems related to hiring. And so their clients or hiring managers are like, yes, this is what I need. Because guess what? Most companies work with terrible agencies. They just don't know that there's a better solution out there. So you have to demonstrate, not tell them, how you're a better solution. And that comes from sharing your wins, sharing your insights, maybe sharing your losses and how you learn from those losses and made the improvements, right? Showing like how to clean up your interview process, and, hey, are you missing out on candidates? This is why. Are you relying on job boards and it's not working? Well, let me introduce you to proactive recruiting. That's what agency recruiters do. We're not reactive. We go out and find people. A lot of hiring managers have no idea that it can be possible or what the difference is there, right? So explain them. What is obvious to us as recruiters is not obvious to hiring managers or candidates, right? And so, like, you just have to remember that the boring posts tend to be the ones that drive leads. Now, you can post National Hug Day or your pet or whatever else. You might get 5,000 likes. You're going to get 0 business leads from that.
Yeah.
If you don't add any other value beyond just your personal stuff. Now, if you have a lot of, if you're talking about business and solving problems and you sprinkle in some personal stuff and you humanize yourself, that's totally fine, right? But I look at it maybe one of every 5 posts, one of every 10. So now I might even do one a month in terms of personal, because I built up enough, right, a kind of a brand. But I humanized myself, but it wasn't anything crazy. I updated people, I got married, or, made a pregnancy announcement. and stuff like that. But when I post my family, like I don't show my kid's face. Like I'm not trying to show everything, right, on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, but it's enough to be, oh, this is a normal person, especially now with AI. So I think knowing yourself, your strategic advantages, your competitive advantages, knowing your market and speaking to your market, not about yourself, but the way you speak to your market can be through the work that you've done. And I think just finding that balance, and then just following up with people that are engaging, whether they're liking, commenting, viewing your profile, that's important. And making sure your profile is optimized is also another big one.
Yeah.
We can kind of get into all that later. I'll stop there. Yeah.
I'm so glad you said about the leads over likes.
Yeah.
And Joe, I'm going to hold my hands up because, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I can so easily, I've done it this week, get so caught up on, oh, but not many people have liked my post or the engagement figures they put on LinkedIn. But, actually what it's about is, am I getting leads out of this? And I think so many, especially recruiters newer to it, because I work with a lot of new recruiters, when they start their LinkedIn journey and they're really trying hard with their content, they get so caught up on it, like a success failure model. And it's like, but you've got to think about the outcome of what you're doing. So I'm so glad that you highlighted that there, because I think a lot of people will need to hear that. Speaking of LinkedIn, because obviously for recruiters, I think I've spent every day of my life on LinkedIn for the past 12 years since I started in recruitment. In your experience, what are the biggest missed opportunities that recruiters face when they're trying to, because we've just talked about leads, right? So when they're trying to drive inbound leads through LinkedIn specifically, what are the biggest mistakes they make?
Number one, not treating your LinkedIn profile like a marketing or sales page. If I see no about section, you have 2,600 characters in your about section. When I don't see that utilized, it kills me. There's a featured section that you can use. If it's not a clear headline of who you work with, especially on business development, if you're looking for more leads, you have to be super clear, starting with your headline, reiterate that in the about section, share your wins. If you're doing outreach to candidates, right, put those verticals or skill sets in your headline if you can. If there's too many of them, that's a separate conversation in terms of if you want to kind of grow without having to work more. Repeatable skill sets is important, but even putting maybe your current openings on there, or how you've helped candidates, increase their salary or get a better job or find a remote role, or something hybrid, whatever, like however you've helped people. There's so much on the about section, sharing a little bit of your why, but then having a call to action, right? Email me for more information, send me a message, having a Calendly link up there that people can schedule, or an opt-in, or whatever it looks like treat it like a landing page, your LinkedIn profile. And so it points people, because I could get 1,500, 2,000, I think I've gone up to 2,500, 3,000 profile views over the 90 days. There's people that post on LinkedIn more to get way more, but I get those within my market. So that's 1,500 to 2,000, 2,500 people that have clicked on my LinkedIn profile. I control what they see. So that's number one, is like optimize the profile. Yes, you can make iterations and tweaks, and yes, there's a whole kind of way to do it in the right and the wrong way. That's number one, right? Take advantage of that, because that's really what matters more to me, is targeted impressions within my ICP, and then the profile views. I care more about that than anything else. Is you checking my profile, because then I can really generate a conversation, and hopefully they've seen what they need to see, and they can make a decision whether they want to engage in a conversation with me or not, right? But it's so much warmer than just cold outreach. So number one is the profile. Number two, your formatting. Like, don't do block of text. Hashtags don't really matter. For some reason, the more the white space is the better. People read at a 5th grade reading level. So the PhD 12th grade post, I use HemingwayApp.com. It's free to kind of gauge the reading level stuff is at. You want to keep it in the grade 3 to grade 7 range. I know it sounds crazy, and it drive people nuts, especially a lot of like really good recruiters that are used to writing these like really eloquent messages or executive search. I'm like, yep, you got to dumb it down at a fifth grade reading level.
Yeah,
like,
I've learned that. I write how I I try and write how I speak.
Yep.
Like when somebody hears me actually speak in a meeting, or they read it, they're like, they can hear me speaking it, if that makes sense. But it's so interesting, isn't it, what works?
It's crazy, and it's one of those things. It's a light bulb moment. It's so simple, and it's so obvious when you hear it, and it makes sense, right? Fix the profile. dumb it down. And the third point would be connect with your market at volume. So many people as recruiters I see that are obsessed with their in-mails, don't actually leverage the connection request. And there's some different tools where you can actually get even more connection requests per week than maybe even the 100, right? So really, or you could do stuff manually, but connect with your market. I mean, we've transformed candidate outreach and sourcing through connection requests first, and then following up with an in-mail or using in-mail strategically, save people a ton of money, or they get way more out of their recruiter account. I think a lot of people that do, you can, Sales Nav is like a super underrated tool. Sales Navigator, super underrated tool as well for candidate outreach, not just business development. And I think just connecting with that market every single day, 50 connection requests like every single day, whatever you got to do, you could do that stuff manually, just maybe some automation you can look at or whatever that looks like, but build your ecosystem, be intentional. That is just one of the things. And then you are allowing those people to see your content consistently. Now, I'm pretty sure this was true about a year ago, but I still think it is. Your new connections will see all your stuff for your first 2 weeks that you're connected. So if they like, or they comment, or they read more, you're going to come up in their feed more and more. So it's a beautiful 1-2 punch of connect with the people in your network every single day, post stuff that's relevant to them every single day, and then just what your relevant leads and your inbound leads and your opportunities are going to go up.
Yeah, do you know what? I've got a hefty to-do list after this conversation because I think my cogs are turning when I'm listening to you. But like what you said about sort of dumbing it down definitely resonates. What was the one you said before that? It's gone completely out of my mind.
Fix your profile, dumb it down,
LinkedIn
and connect
profile.
with your market. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's so easy. Like I did my last update in my LinkedIn profile, I don't know, some point last year, but it needs to be done 100% again and be updated. And one of the things I've started doing, like you said, control build that market and control it. I wasn't adding, I was looking at my profile views. Now it's not all those people that were viewing I was connected to. And I started adding them all, the relevant ones, because I was waiting for them to add me for some stupid reason.
Yep.
But these people are so valuable to my network. And you saying that then I pop up in the first 2 weeks in their feed at the top, even more valuable, even more reason to get those connection requests out and not sort of the ego thing of, well, I'm not adding them first. They can add me first.
Yeah, get rid of the
silly.
ego in sales. Exactly. Well, I'll do you one better, Kate. You can get Sales Navigator. There's a filter that says people who viewed my profile in the last 90 days. You can click that. You can copy and paste that URL into a certain software, and it will connect with all those people for you automatically.
Oh, amazing.
So it's like I have about 1,500 in the last 90 days. I'm not saying. I'll just check right now. I know I'm doing this live. It'll take me 2 seconds. So I have this. I have second and third degree. It viewed my profile recently, and I can sort by second and third degree connection. So not people that are already first degree. And I have 461 results. Those should be my next 461 outreaches if they aren't already. Like that's as simple as it is. I just did that in 15 seconds, right? It's so there's so much noise, automation, AI, and I get all that. It's hard. We're getting pitched left and right. This software, this feature, but when you really think it's sales, it's put yourself out there. And all these people that are doing cold calls, cold emails, they're trying to do the same thing. You're trying to get in front of your market to demonstrate your value, but we all kind of get annoyed a lot of that stuff. Not to say that cold calls and all that can't work. They can, but just think about ROI in your time, right? In about 10 seconds, I just built a perfect outreach list for me. If I'm posting that's relevant to this audience every single day, right? They're going to see that. You don't think I can get 5-10 of those of 461 people to potentially be prospects or future clients? Like I almost guarantee. Well, I can guarantee it because that's what the the flywheel that I've been running for a few years. It works. It's the same thing. Now, recruiting is about timing. It's not to say that they're going to be a client tomorrow, but those are, for me, it was always build the target accounts. I was looking for those top 20, 30 accounts, of which 10 or 15 of those I could break into this, that year. That's how you get the target accounts, right? Top of funnel to medium funnel is such an important shift. And if you can automate or at least put on almost on autopilot that system, then you create more time for the medium and bottom of the funnel, the closer to the money activities, which is typically the excuse I hear why people don't do marketing and outreach, is because they're working on closer to the money activities. But it doesn't have to be either or anymore. It can be and. You can have top of funnel systemized and still spend the majority of your time with medium and bottom of the funnel activities. And that's the beautiful opportunity we have in 2025.
And that's making, like you said, with the business development, people just purely cold calling. Actually, what you've just talked about makes everything warm. So when you do go and pick up that phone, you've popped up everywhere, and you might have even already spoken over message. It might have ended up being a pre-booked call instead. So yeah, love that tip. Right, I've got to do my normal, really cheeky little segue into Recruit CRM and a bit of promo. But as I highlight to you every single episode, I'm not just saying these things. I use Recruit CRM. It's my CRM for my agency. So I know these things work because I use them myself. So what I wanted to highlight today, because we've talked a lot about LinkedIn, is the fact that, well, we know LinkedIn is a gold mine, or can be a gold mine, for building your brand, attracting clients. We spend so much time on it. But, if you think about LinkedIn, we've talked about automation a little bit as well, making things easier and more efficient. What has been the biggest game changer for me is the LinkedIn integration with Recruit CRM. And I've never had this on a CRM that I personally used before. So for me, it's little things like if I'm on a candidate's profile or if I'm on a client's profile, I can, with literally a click, add them into Recruit. They get added into Recruit CRM. As a client or candidate, as I said. I can see, I haven't got employee, I don't work with anyone else, I work on my own, but if I did, it can tell me with a click of a button when the pop-up comes up, if that candidate, well, A, this is useful for me, is on my database already, but also if you've got colleagues, are they being spoken to at the moment? Is anybody dealing with them? So it's great for internal communication. Again, you're not going to waste time going after somebody that's already being dealt with, potentially. You can send and receive LinkedIn messages directly from Recruit CRM, keeps you updated with your candidates, keeps you in the loop. And to be honest with you, just not having to switch platforms all the time when I'm busy just helps me sort of use my time better, build better relationships. It just makes everything easier on both client and candidate side. So I'm going to come to this again at the end, but you can get a free demo of this. You can go and try it out yourself. There will be a link in the caption, and I'll remind you of this again at the end. But Clark, I'm going to come back to you because we've got one more question before we finish up. So we have talked about automation a little bit. And I know you've mentioned sort of installing automation to multiply candidate flow. I know for some people in the UK at the moment in particular, certain markets are really struggling for candidates. So this is going to be a really useful one. Could you give us a quick overview of sort of the kinds of automation or tools that have had the biggest impact for recruiters looking to scale?
Yeah, it's cloud-based automation tools, right? Not the Chrome extension. There's some good ones out there. I can name names. I don't know, or people can message me. I can give you some names, offline on some different tools. It can depend on if you have Recruiter, on Sales Navigator, and kind of each person's situation. But they can be anywhere from $80 a month to $150 a month. Make sure that they're cloud-based, that it's not a Chrome extension. It completely changed your game, especially if you're internal and you're only looking for candidates. I mean, I've had people put their job on autopilot that are internal recruiters and just run absolute circles around their TA counterparts, because especially if you're internal, right? Candidates want to talk to you directly. So, and if you're agency, and if you could put that piece on autopilot, a lot of people tell me, "Oh, I already have the recruiting piece down." I'm like, "We're using automation." No, I was like, "You really don't have it down. You're getting lapped by recruiters that are leveraging this. I don't care how good your messaging or how personalized it is. Typically, it doesn't really matter. There's 5,000 characters or whatever." But the keys are kind of finding the right tool. There's some other, there's some Dripify and all this stuff out there, and I can give you some more names offline if you shoot me a message. Happy to answer and give you some recommendations. I am tool agnostic, but you got to use it. The keys to the candidate flow, qualifying a good rec or job order is the number one must-have. If you have a bad role and you're sending stuff out, it doesn't matter if you manually message or automate it, you're probably not going to get what you want. But I think getting qualifying a good role, right? And typically with a candidate flow, it's going to be, what are the 3 reasons that you're the ideal candidate, you're a candidate that you've told me you want, why would they take this job? Especially in candidate markets where candidates feel like they have the power, you have to make the case, right? You have to present the case of why and tempt them into talking to you. So get that information, because that's going to be so crucial to your connection message, where you have 300 characters, short and concise. And I would challenge, even if you have the ability to have 5,000 characters, every word matters, and be respectful of that. That's why the AI messaging isn't really working, because AI loves fluff and they love buzzwords. And so be careful if you're relying on that. I've had recruiters come to me, oh, AI helped me with this. But I was like, this is the best part. Oh, well, I fixed that up myself. So yes, the recruiter is still creating the best messages because of that content. That's why AI is not going to replace every recruiter. It's not going to replace good or great recruiters. It might replace the below average recruiter, but they weren't producing anyway. Right. And
totally agree.
And so that's qualify a good role. What are the 3 reasons a candidate would take this role? Spend more time on sourcing. When you have automation, build those curated lists. 30 people, 50 people, 100 people, right? Build a curated. You don't have to be too specific, but then automate that good messaging and filter through the inbox. You can do that way faster at scale over time. Sure, you could send 100 emails all at once. That's costly, right? And so you just but then you can be more strategic with your emails, because you have those connection requests running in conjunction. So not trying to get too scattered there, but hopefully there's some best practices that we've seen work. And recruiters are just lighting it up with that approach.
No, that is super helpful. Super helpful. And look, with that has absolutely flown by. We've come to the end of the episode. I could have easily carried on talking to you all day, Clark, to be honest with you.
Same.
But look, for anybody listening, like Clark's mentioned there's some things that you can message him about, get some sort of automation tool ideas. I really would encourage you to connect with him and do that, because you can massively benefit from this. So we've put all Clark's details in the caption for this podcast and this video, wherever you're watching it on. So do go after that, because that can make such a change to how you're sort of growing your candidate base, client base as well. So as a recap, today we have explored the power of LinkedIn and content marketing, how you can attract great clients, get more inbound leads, with Clark Wilcox as the guest. So Clark, thank you so much for sharing all your insights, your journey. Like I said, connect with him. You can also connect with me. You can do so on LinkedIn. My profile description is down there as well. There's my website links as well for both my agency and the coaching business. So yeah, thank you for sharing your journey and insights with us. If you are looking to gain more information on recruitment tech, we have got more episodes that you can listen to on this. We've had a couple of other guests come on and talk about marketing tech. We've got loads of different subjects. If you want that demo of Recruit CRM, remember to follow the link in the caption. It basically is recruitcrm.io, and it's literally on the first page. You can book a free demo, so super easy to find. If you've got any questions about anything around using Recruit CRM from someone that uses it, you can also message me as well on LinkedIn or however you prefer. So that's enough of me chatting now. Thank you for joining us. I will see you in the next episode. Take care, everybody. And thank you so much again, Clark, for joining us today. It has been amazing talking to you.
Well, thanks for having me, Kate. This was great. Thank you.